here to help you move forward in League.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Welcome to another Four Words podcast. My name is Aaron Duke Spikinator Harris, and I am joined by three disgusting radioactive creatures. I am joined by Scott Haberdashing Sestrin.
I call Michelangelo.
Michael
that's
Matthews.
not even fair. How did
What?
Should
That's fine. I
have
want
said it
Leonardo.
sooner, Raphael.
Yeah,
Leonardo.
that means I'm like, all right, that means I'm Splinter.
Donatello.
Leonardo doesn't even get a freaking Oscar.
Dude, he's the blue one.
Jumping all over the fucking place.
Michael Azarish Matthews.
Yeah, I'm here. I can't believe I'm not Michelangelo. It doesn't make sense.
Because he didn't call it.
That doesn't make any goddamn sense. No fucking
Pizza
sense at
dude.
all.
And Stephen Frostbite Allen.
Cowabunga.
And thank you so much for joining us again here. Thank you for joining us live, and thank you for joining us in your ear holes, wherever you may be in podcast land. News we will jump right into here. First, we're going to be at PAX East, like we said. There's more to come on what capacity. We still need your help. Patreon.com/TForce Network. It's the best way to support us in our funding push into PAX East. I mean, straightforward, we need your help. Anything we do, we got to have finances to do it, and we can't do it without listeners like you. The great thing is with Patreon, we're not just saying, hey, give us money. We're going to give you something for it. So please make sure you check out Patreon, check out the goals, and we're going to hook you up for helping us out. Also, February 25th is The Art of Top Lane with none other than Liquid Quas and our good buddy Pseudonaut. Please, this is going to be a huge episode. Join us live. It's going to be awesome with Quas. Listen and make sure you are sending in your goals because we're still holding that contest. We'll talk a little bit more about goals later. Also, the week after that, we're going to do a rehashing of our Art of Support episode with Bloodwater. So it's going to be a really, really cool episode. So next 2 weeks, really sweet episodes, really sweet interviews. Hope you guys love them. And from there, we'll just dive straight into our trinket tip. And Asdorishan, why don't you take that away?
Yeah, trinket tip for this week is activatables. We've talked about activatables before, but we wanted to go over them again to give you a bit of a better idea of how to make the most use of them. And I was thinking of some specific ways of, I personally have a fancy mouse that has multiple buttons, so I can put my hotkeys on those buttons. However, you can also have them on your keyboard. But I have multiple ways of being able to use my activatables, and that's one of the things we wanted to recommend to you.
I think we should maybe go a bit more high level here and talk about what an activatable or an active item is. And I guess to start that out, an active item is an item that has an effect that you actually need to manually cast, as opposed to a passive that just happens by itself.
It's just like having another ability in your kit that you buy.
And something I definitely didn't know when I was level 30 and first learning the game is, as Tristan mentioned, these things can be hotkeyed. So if you have those different, they default usually to the different buttons on your keyboard. And a lot of people pick that up relatively quickly, but it's important to know because most of these active items have a very specific time where you want to use them, and knowing when and when's the right time to use them and using them effectively can be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't want to necessarily mess with your key bindings a whole lot, one of the easiest things you can do is just you can drag and reorder the way things are ordered in your item purchase. Oh my goodness. Sorry, my son going ham there. And you can order how it is. So I always recommend putting your activatable items on 1, 2, and 3 since they're right above your QWER. So it makes it a little easier to hit them real quick. There's lots of activatable items, but I mean, one of the biggest values of activatable items is using the active. And if you're not using the active, the item is not as gold efficient. So you got to make sure you learn to use them.
Right. Like, I think everyone has a little bit different way of setting up like their hand on the keyboard. But it's just finding, I think, at least one or two places, especially that seem the most natural to you to gravitate towards, that aren't too far out of the way from your other keys, so you can easily get to them. For me, that's my number 3 key, and then I also bound the 7th item slot to T, just so it's right there. And I normally will bind like toggleable stuff onto there, but that's just ease of accessibility. It's different for everyone else. But there's another big part about activatables that we want to talk about here, and that is like actually getting to use them, because the biggest barrier people have to activatables is just activating them at the right time.
Yeah. And I think this is something that has a lot to do with people's attitude towards activatables. A lot of players don't really value activatables. They'll buy an item and be like, maybe that sounds interesting. They don't realize they have to activate that item. I know that that's a pitfall for a lot of newer players. A lot of people may not even realize that you have these abilities. However, as soon as you do realize that you have them, you not using them is to me personally, you not really understanding how good the activation is or what it does to help you. And once you do recognize that value, you do notice people start to use it more often. So I personally encourage you to, whenever you buy an activatable item, really take a look at what the activation does and how it helps you, and try and see in which situations that you can find success with it, and make sure you use it. Just be diligent about using it and make sure you use it.
Yeah.
And I will also add on to that some people, when they're learning the game, they are really terrified of these active items, or they try and use other things as a crutch. Like, I'll just get Bloodthirster instead, so that way I don't have to remember to use Blade of the Ruin King active, or I'll do this. Like, that's really not the right way to play the game. Like, it's going to be a rough transition process to learn anything and incorporate it into your regular play, but the only way you're ever going to learn is by practicing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, you really had, like Mike said, you really had to identify what it is that item does. And I really didn't get into a good habit of using my activatable items until I started thinking, okay, here's what I can do with that item. When the next team fight comes around, I'm going to use it right then. And when you start planning ahead of time, when you're going to use, let's say, a Locket of the Iron Solari, or the Spooky Ghosts, or the shield that comes from
Face the mountain.
Face of the Mountain, stuff like that. You really start to you use the item to its fullest potential, instead of just sitting around after a team fight and looking down.
Yeah.
Shit.
Everyone has like their way of remembering it, and for me, like Haber kind of mentioned, it's before the next engagement. I just tell myself over and over again, like, if I die and I forget to Zonias before the next team fight, I'll just be like, remember to Zonias, remember to Zonias, remember to Zonias, and like I'll have that like in the back of my head, and like now I'm at a point where it's almost just like I don't even think about it. It's kind of like it's just become second nature. But for a long time, and even still today, I sometimes occasionally fuck up. Like,
Zonias is a special activation, though. That
right,
one requires
it is
very specific.
But it's so integrated into a lot of champions kits that it really just does become another ability for them. And if you are going to use it to its fullest potential, you have to realize when to use it just as much as you would with any of your other abilities.
Absolutely. And the thing I'm going to encourage most is to use it. Like, if you're afraid to use it wrong, you're never going to learn how to use it properly, because you're never going to use it. You're just going to try and wait for that perfect moment. Well, if you don't recognize the perfect moment, then you're screwed. So just keep using it until the point comes where you know when the perfect moment is in a fight to use your Zonias. Zonia's, like I said, was saying before, Zonia's is special. Like, you can use it in a lot more different instances than Bork, for example.
Mhm. But I know that we've probably scared our listeners a little bit by with all these active items. So
not.
why don't we feature a item that doesn't have an active for our item discussion this week? Haber, what item were we talking about this week?
Yeah, so for our item discussion of the week, we wanted to talk about Infinity Edge. It really came to us like, oh, yeah, this item has gone through some changes that we really haven't taken a second to look at here. So with the season 6 changes to a lot of the marksman items, Infinity Edge went under some changes. Now 65 attack damage, 20% critical strike, and it still has the unique passive where your critical strikes deal an additional 50% bonus damage. The difference now being the cost is 3,600, which makes it on par with any of the other like big buy items for AD carries, whether that's Bloodthirster, Bork, or Essence Reaver.
Yeah, and that's the big thing about this item. Like when I think of Infinity Edge, like I think of like the marksman role. Like when I think of the marksman role, I think of Infinity Edge more than really any other item. And while there's different champions that benefit from different items, like the marksman role is really often about doing damage with your auto attacks and relies on critical strikes, and like that's what this item is in a nutshell.
And back, like, you know, even last season, Eye Edge was probably the best way to get you rolling as a marksman if you build that and build it as quickly as possible.
Oh my goodness, absolutely,
where
yeah.
That really isn't the same this season because of not only the changes to the BS sword items, but also to the attack speed items like Zeal. Zeal has become much more efficient to get earlier on. So the most common thing that marksmen will now do is they'll get their BF sword, they'll get that pickaxe that goes into Infinity Edge, but then they'll transition into getting the crit and attack speed that come from Zeal to better round out their kit. And for the gold you're spending, it really becomes the most efficient at that time.
Yeah.
The only notable exception to rushing Infinity Edge now is Jin, the newest marksman, because the way his kit works with crit, you want to get that extra bonus damage that's always guaranteed. But for anyone else who would normally rush Infinity Edge, it becomes a lot less important to get it as quickly as possible because you're sinking basically 800 for the Cloak of Agility and another 625 for the recipe just to get that critical strike chance and the extra 50% damage, which really doesn't add to the gold efficiency of the item until you get another basically 25% critical chance. So a lot of times people won't even finish Eye Edge until they finish either their static shiv or a rapid fire cannon.
And one way or another, if you're a marksman, this item usually finds its way into your 6-item build. It's just the passive on it is just so important. And a lot of times that's why on especially auto attack based AD carries, it's often like a relatively early item you buy. But it's not very common on a lot of like assassins that build attack damage or like a lot of fighters, because if you think about what these champions do, they generally have really high damaging abilities that like benefit from like armor penetration, and they're not just like staying in the back wailing on people with auto attacks the way a marksman would.
Right.
Yeah, because most abilities don't crit or have any, bonus to crit damage or anything like that. So it's mainly for people who are going to be laying down the auto attacks.
Yeah.
There are melee AD carries out there, like I guess like Tryndamere and Yi that are kind of exceptions though.
Some history on the item. This is one of the few items that is retained its like general theme and like hasn't really changed as far as like what it does all that much. It's always just really just given attack damage and crit. And it used to be one of the few items that was more than 4,000 gold.
Right. But I mean, like, it's always kind of warranted its extreme
Yeah.
cost.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
good thing about this season is there's a lot more competition for those big
Yeah.
AD carry items. So, like, a big takeaway from all this is not to say that Infinity Edge is somehow less important than it was before. It still holds a very, very important place in the kit of a marksman. It's just that early on in the game, it's no longer as efficient to rush it as it was before. You know, as soon as you hit a big item spike with Infinity Edge plus your attack speed item, whether that's Shiv or Rapid Fire Cannon, that's when that Infinity Edge really starts to kick off in terms of increasing your damage output.
Yeah. I like
Yep.
that. That's
So
nice.
that's about it for Infinity Edge. Just a little PSA on that.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so let's dive into. We said last week we're going to be talking about goals, so we're going to start off talking about our own goals for this season here. So I'm going to let Steve talk about his first.
Okay. So yeah, I really wow. I guess that we've been doing this show for almost a full year now
I know,
at
right?
at this point. So around this time last year, we had this similar discussion, and my goal was to hit Plat 5 and to work on, map pressure and map awareness and decision making. And I'm actually pretty happy with how that panned out last season because I think I did do really well on that. But now I've kind of shifted gears. I've kind of changed my champion pool a lot during that time. I've changed a lot of things about my play style. So the first thing I'll say is that from a gameplay perspective, what I really want to work on is actually my laning phase. Like I remember this is something Asterishan said he worked on a lot last season. It's little things like trying to make sure I get the most CS as possible at 10 minutes, making sure I'm smarter about my trading and my movements. I've looked at my past few games and like a lot of the games I've even won recently in ranked, I've kind of done less than I could have done in lane. And just, making sure I'm not dying to very common jungle gang timings and really just my early game needs a lot of work because I found that I improved my decision making and a lot, and I think it's pretty good for the level I'm at. And I think it's really just making sure I don't mess up early. And I think I'll start to see some significant improvement in my game. As far as what my actual like rank goal, because I do plan on continuing to play ranked. Up until now, I've always done like one rank per season, pretty much. Like season 3, I placed in bronze 3, but I was basically silver within a few weeks. And then season 4, I went to gold. Season 5, plat. So naturally, I thought I'd go for diamond this season, but like I just have a lot of stuff on my plate this year in terms of like job responsibilities. I'm starting to pick up some coding that I haven't done as much since really school, and between that and a few other things that are on my plate and like a big trip that I'm planning in June, it's really kind of tricky to play as much ranked as I did last season. So I kind of adjusted, and right now my rank goal is platinum 3.
Nice.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Dune, you want to keep going with us here?
Sure. So I'll take it from there. Me personally, I'm a father of 3. I got a new job in an awesome company about 3 months ago. So I work a lot too, and so I personally don't get a ton of playtime in each week. I average probably about 2 to 3 games a week. And with that, it makes it very difficult to play ranked. So I don't really have an actual ranked goal. But I still do have goals to self-improve. And since I don't get to play often, one of the things I found that's improved my personal play a lot by focusing on, especially over the last few months, is keep my champion pool small. So really right now, all I've really played probably for the last month or two is either Wukong or Rek'Sai. And
Radiant Wukong.
I actually now own all Wukong skins. Um, but play more Wukong and just get really super duper comfortable with him. I have Mastery 5 on him, but I want to really, really get extremely comfortable with him. I want to get better with Rek'Sai and play with some more Rek'Sai too, though. But I would like to expand my pool a bit more, as I basically own every bruiser in the game. And I would like to get more comfy with like a squishy or champion. I've really been eyeing like Lysandra or Cassidon. Um,
Yeah, I was
and
actually wondering, like, what is everyone playing for their primary and secondary roles? I know what everyone's primary role is, but I guess I was curious what everyone's two
I
roles are in the new system.
I basically play Wukong. Um, I will play Wukong jungle, top, or mid. So it
So
doesn't
do you
really.
jungle top if you were like trying
Yeah,
harder?
yeah. If I was gonna say, if I'm gonna stick to two rules, it's gonna be jungle top, and I'll take Wukong jungle top. Rek'Sai jungle. She's not really a laner, and if I was gonna go anyone else top, like I said, I kind of want to go with a little squishier champion. So I'd like to maybe pick up and learn Lysandra, or maybe start
Okay.
playing like Olaf too. Um, and also I really want to work on playing more aggressively, doing some more counter jungling, doing more invades and harassing the other jungler, and really just taking complete dominance of the map as a jungler, so that I can more efficiently and more effectively control a game, not be playing based off of what the other jungler is doing, but be playing based more off of me controlling the map. I know where the other jungler is, and I'm gonna either counter gank him or take his buffs or meet him at his buffs to kill him and stuff like that.
So you don't just want to be monkeying around in the enemy's jungle.
Jesus Christ.
Or maybe
So yeah,
you
that's it for me.
do.
Ah.
Oh.
We'll take it. How about you, Aspiration?
Yeah, my goals are pretty straightforward. I want to diversify my champion mastery. Like Frost said, I worked a lot on my early game, a lot of my laning phase last season. I spent a good amount of time practicing CSing and stuff like that, and I feel like I'm pretty comfortable recognizing and understanding, champions and how to play them, at least relatively conceptually. However, mastery is a whole different story, other than just theoretically knowing how to play them, and I want to get my champion pool a little bit bigger, actually a lot bit bigger, which it's gonna take some practice, but
Play all the champions.
well,
You
quite a
can do it.
few. I mean, I want to have more than just the 3 or 4 that I currently have, because I have a lot of interest in several champions, and with
I saw you're
some-
playing Echo.
I play a lot of Echo. I play a lot of Echo. He's a fun champion. He's also very diverse in what he's able to do, depending on how you build him. So he can deal a lot of damage in different ways as well, which is really nice. But aside from that, yes, I also have a ranked goal. Diamond was a little bold, considering I didn't have nearly as much time as I thought I was going to, and I'm still not going to. So I think Platinum is comfortable. I think Platinum is definitely more plausible. So I'm going to shoot for plat in ranked, and I'd like to get a 5v5 team to ranked, because I've gotten a 5v5 team to gold. So I don't think
I mean, I
ranked is-
guess ranked fives technically doesn't exist right now.
Yeah, but I think they plan on adding it in, don't they?
I don't know
I
if
don't
they do
know.
for this season.
Hmm.
But like, I guess like you queue as 5 in dynamic queue, and then
Yeah.
it's kind of like that.
Yes, that's my understanding as well. If you have the character or the people from your team all together and you queue it up, but not sure. Well,
Cool.
if they add it, a legitimate ladder system.
So, Sir Haber of Dashing, what are you working on for 2016?
Uh, you know, like I want to say that I'll keep working on goals with law. Like my last goal for last season was to get better at CSing, and I really think I did do that. Um, but for here at the start of 2016, I'm going to be taking like a step back from at least playing LOL. I'm going to still do a lot of theory crafting, getting on top of all the changes that occur, staying on top of the meta and everything. But with school picking up in my last semester here, I'm really just concentrating more on that because it's taking a lot more of my time. But after this semester is done, I'll be reevaluating my goals and hoping to go more ham with playing uh, this in the summer and going forward here.
Yeah.
So,
I think
yeah.
we'll probably have to at some point, maybe a few months down the line, we'll do like a goals check-in, sort of like see if our goals have shifted at all or we're working on anything else in particular.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's keep going forward here and talking about some of the goals that you guys sent in. A tip for setting your goals here. I know if you want to go back, you can visit our repository link and check out episodes 1 and 2 where we talked about setting goals. But you want to set SMART goals, and those are goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound.
Yeah, it's really good to do that because it gives you something you can work towards and something you can measure. Whereas, like, if you just say, I want to get, diamond or something, it's like, all right, how are you going to get there? When are you going to get there? What are you going to do to get there? It's like, that's one thing. Whereas if you say, this week I'm going to practice CS and customs and try and get to like, X amount of CS.
Like you can have like an ultimate goal of like still, I'm going to get diamond, but it's, finding all those smaller goals that are going to get you there.
Yeah, we said
Absolutely.
I think in the first episode, like talk about like you can have a long-term goal and a short-term goal, and it's like the short-term goals are the ways you get to that long-term goal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like personally, I know for me, like I was saying, I'd like to play a more aggressive jungle. Little steps I'd like to start taking on that is like doing level 2 invades where you take your first camp, you go over to their buff where they're taking it, and then you can either smite it away or you can, attack them as they're starting to finish, like right after they finish taking the buff, and just take it from them because they're so low from taking the buff that it helps you get the kill, and you get the kill and move on, by focusing on little matters of gameplay like that, it'll help your overall gameplay and really hit those bigger goals.
So let's just dive right into it. We started last week's episode with one of our someone writing in on their goals, so we're gonna just go through that again here and make sure we get to that first thing. This one was from Coxycat saying he wanted to challenge himself to play 100 ranked games and asking, do you have some advice from your others out there to make similar goals? I'm open to any nuggets of wisdom about champ pool size, playing all the roles, playing with friends, gains per day.
Okay, so there's a couple different things we can digest here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first thing is if you are going to dive into ranked, it is good that you're trying to, play a certain number of games, like, or at least play a healthy number of games, because kind of like what we talked about with Doom, like, I think Doom is making the right decision by not going for any crazy rank goals, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like, in fact, I think he's making like the correct decision, because it's like if you want to go up like 3 tiers in a rank system, but you're only playing like 1 to 2 games a week, like it's going to be a little tricky to really, harness your skills and keep making big leaps forward when you only have so much time to invest actually in the game.
Yeah, like, I mean, and I'm not opposed to playing ranked at all. I mean, if I have buddies who want to play dynamic queue and stuff, what the hell? I don't really care. But if you're going for a specific number, you're going for a specific ranking or anything like that. Set a goal for yourself. Set like a weekly goal for yourself. Like we said, small goals. So you want to play 100 ranked games during the season, great. So set a weekly goal for yourself, whether it be like one a day or
I think
five
like
a week or something like that.
the one thing that this email doesn't really say is like he wants to play 100 games, but does he mean like, throughout the whole season, 100 games?
Yeah, and that's what I think.
Because like you could play theoretically, you could play 100 games in a week.
Yeah.
Theoretically,
So
it would be
I
it
think
would be a
both of
lot
you
of
are
games, but
both of you are hitting on the main point, especially Doom, which is that having a 100 ranked game goal is nice, but what's even better is to say, this week I'm gonna play 2 ranked games a night or something, or play 3 ranked games a night, and like keep a routine, just like a workout, is way
Right.
better than having like a long term goal that's kind of out in the distance and like you're not actively working towards it. So like I did this every season when I was really trying to climb. I definitely did it last season where I was like, all right, when I get out of work, I'm going to go exercise. And then when I get back, I'm going to try and get 3 ranked games in tonight, and like maybe if this happens and I start to tilt, I'll stop. But like in general, I had a game plan every week of I want to get a certain number of ranked games in. And that's kind of how I kept myself to keep moving forward.
yeah, I mean, like the one thing I think you do make clear in this email is that playing 100 ranked games, it's going to be more of I don't want to say a chore, but it's going to be something that you're going to have to work at yourself personally. And, to do that for yourself, you're going to have to think of ways to keep it so it stays fresh. Whether that is, finding out what exactly in this game is really fun for you, whether it is just playing one champion or if it is, just playing one role or, playing 10 different champions and finding out what you really like. Maybe it's playing a lot of different champions. As far as playing with friends goes, as long as you find someone who has like-minded goals, I think that's going to work out well for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, but when it comes to champ pools and champions and roles and stuff like that, I personally really recommend aim small, miss small. If you limit your champion pool down, you limit your role down. And even if you don't necessarily limit your roles down, but limit your champ pool down, you'll tend to find more success. You find more of the ins and outs of that champion, the little nuances, all the little things about them. So, going back to me, like Wukong, for example, I'll play him jungle, I'll play him top, I'll play him mid. I don't really have a problem playing him either way. I'm pretty comfortable either way. So if you pick a versatile champ like that you feel real comfortable with, and 2 or more roles, that's a pretty safe bet, because then you can always, queue up, say like, put your pref and then just put fill, and 1, you may queue up faster, and 2, you may find yourself playing that champ in more roles and learning more about other champions and other roles, and then maybe getting interested in other roles or maybe other champs that you never thought you'd consider too.
I completely agree with Doom. If it depends on what your goals are, like Haber mentioned. But I think if you're really just like trying to climb, the more champions you're trying to play all at once, the harder it's going to be for you to develop mastery, at least without like a large number of games. So I think, the more you find 1 to 2 champions in your main role that you just like really like, the more you can like learn the ins and outs of that role and spend less, effort trying to learn every single champion's like nuanced parts of their kit. Like, you really need to be able to have it like muscle memory. So you find something you love, and then just I would spam what you love.
Yeah. So, I mean, good luck with all that. I mean, it's whatever your goal may be. I really wish you the best of luck doing that, and whatever you can do to make it fun or worthwhile. Yeah. So next one from Casino 42.
Oh,
Yeah.
What accent is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways, hi, for awards as requested, I'm sending in my goal for the season. This is my first season playing ranked. My placements didn't go that well, and I ended up in bronze 1 and was gaining LP until last night when I played a bunch of games in a row when I really shouldn't have. I was pretty tilted early on, but made the mistake of playing more games, and to top it all off, my connection wasn't great. My ping was regularly 5 to 600 at the start of each game.
Ooh.
It would then decrease halfway through the game, and I'd be hopeful that it'd be better in the next game, and then it wouldn't. Anyways, I dropped to bronze 2. I'm confident that I'll be able to get up to silver, but my goal for the season is to make it to silver 3 and stay there consistently. It's a modest goal, but I'm new to rank, so I'm also hoping to keep playing ranked and not get scared away from it.
Okay, wait.
I think we should cut it here before, because the other one's just a general question.
Right,
We
sure.
should talk about the goal first.
Yeah, I want to say real quick. Good job recognizing that you shouldn't have played those games.
Indeed.
So
Yeah,
that's really important.
Please, for everyone in the league community's sake, like if you're recognizing you're having 500 to 600 ping, it's probably not the best idea to hop into a ranked game.
Yeah. So good job recognizing it. However, next time, remember that intuition and be like, okay, like I remember what happened last time I did this. Probably gonna happen again. Let's not play ranked. So long as you learn from the mistake, then yeah, good job. Overall, pretty solid. Yeah, intro to your goal and everything.
And you mentioned that you started to like feel pretty tilted, and the way you got to think of it is so a lot of people feel compelled, like, I've got this time period I was going to play League. This was my time where I was going to spam a bunch of ranked games. And then, like, if you start to go on tilt, you're like, well, I was going to play more ranked tonight, and I totally need to keep playing if I want to hit X rank. If you are starting to go on tilt, you're actually being counterproductive by, like, continuing to spam games.
Yeah.
Like, just take a break and, like, clear your mind, and then it's going to be so much better.
I mean, like, either it's taking a break entirely from LoL, or you can just play some normals, ARAMs, clear your head, or you can just go into a game saying a normal, or even a custom game saying, hey, I'm going to spend this other time that I was already playing and focus on a specific thing, whether it's getting combos down, whether it's warding in difficult spots, whether it's, CSing, a very important thing to do. There's always other things you can do besides just playing ranked to help work towards your goal.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, you say your placements didn't go up that well, but you ended in bronze 1, which, I mean, like, for doing your first placements, that's not bad at all. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's higher than I placed in season 3.
Yeah. So, like, you could definitely get to silver 3 at least in this season. I honestly would tell you to shoot for a little higher.
Yeah, well, I don't know how many games Cassina has played yet, so sometimes the system places you somewhere and it's either really a lot lower or a lot higher than where you actually belong. But I would say Silver 3, to me, it makes sense as long as you keep working towards it, and like we said to Coxie, like have a routine, keep working towards it, make it something that you really want if that's what your goal is.
Yeah, and honestly, like for you to place bronze 1 and you've never played rank, and especially with this early in the season playing your placements, that's pretty damn good, to be absolutely honest, because like I mean, look at Pone. He was what, high plat, low diamond at the end of this last season? Was he plat 1, plat 2?
No, he was like plat 4 or 5 at the end of the season.
Okay, so plat 4 or 5 at the end of the season, and he placed silver 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there are people getting placed all over the place, and you can't feel bad about your placement. The fact that you did bronze 1, I think, is a really good start. And seeing that and recognizing that it wasn't a good time to play ranked, and you see the repercussions due to it by dropping a level, that's fine. You're going to fluctuate a lot if you're playing ranked, but the main thing is, if you want to focus on a certain goal and you really want to focus on ranked, you just got to keep playing. Just keep playing and don't get discouraged. Just, play who you're comfortable with, have as much fun as you can, because it is a game. So still have fun and keep going for it. I see no reason if you set a weekly game goal for yourself and really play at it. I see no reason you can't hit your goal and exceed it.
I really want to talk about Cassina's other question on here.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes.
I'm going to read it here. I also have a question for you. I play a lot of bot lane, and I've found myself waffling a lot on whether to go back with my lane partner or to hold down the lane while they're away. I realize that to an extent this will depend on the situation, but it's a question I've had a hard time answering. When I go back and my lane partner doesn't, I worry that I'm making them an obvious target for a gank, even if they're playing safe. But if we go back together, it's leaving our turret undefended. This is especially a problem when we're losing lane and the enemy is pretty pushed. If I'm low on health and we're losing lane, I feel like I need to go back, or I'm probably going to die to an all-in or a gank. But what should my lane partner do in this case if the jungler isn't around? Risk facing a 2v1 or a 3v1 situation, or leave the turret undefended? So, yeah, it's just a question of what to do, like regarding backs in the bot lane.
And
This is a really good question. I personally struggle with this.
I like that you said, it that it's more like it is dependent on the situation, but let's talk more about in generalities here. There is a reason why it is, in general, better to go back together in lane. If it's the lane's even or something like that, if you go back together, you're never going to be in a situation where you're going to lose that tower as long as you're timing your backs correctly. If you just, end up pushing a wave and the enemy laner is still there and you decide, okay, I now have money to buy, let's go back. Of course, you're going to end up losing that tower, especially if the enemy laner already has their BF sword. But if it's...
Let me cut you off right there because you hit on a big point that I don't think Cassina mentioned in her email, which is pushing the lane before you back is really huge. And in almost every lane, like, it's a smart idea to, like, do this, like, right before you back, like, just so that way the wave eventually comes back to you and you don't end up, like, losing your tower, like, and you can come back and farm. Like, pushing the lane right before a recall is generally a good thing, and it helps avoid some of the concerns that you mentioned in your email.
However, this is under the assumption that they're low health and that they don't really are, like, doing that is a risk. And I think the real question, like, she probably understands that, like, yeah, they need to push the lane so that the turret doesn't take as much damage, and that's fairly evident. Like, I can see that just in the context and the words that they're using. So, like, that's probably already a given for this player in specific. However, I do agree, you do need to push the wave if you can. However, if you can't push the wave and you're in a position where it's just too risky for you to get close to the back minions, if there's, like, a lot of caster minions and they're just on you, and like, it's that situation, like, okay, we're at really low health, like, I have to back, I'm at no mana, no health, and my ADC's got some mana, decent amount of health. What do we do? That's kind of what I'm picturing.
Yeah, but, like, okay, like, the specific situation she talked about in the question was, okay, we're under or near our tower, one or both of us low health. At that point, you just have to both go back, or at least leave the lane, because we've talked about it before. Losing one turret, is not going to win the game for that team. Losing the turret and giving up a kill is
two kills,
right?
In bot lane,
because you are right. As soon as there's just one person in that lane, they are pretty much dead.
I think it depends on who your ADC is, and it is situational. However, I think that is an opportunity to potentially maybe pick off a kill. However, very risky, and you need to know exactly what you're doing and have a plan for what you want to do if you plan on engaging that sort of situation.
Yeah, but that's still playing to the absolute fullest potential of that given champion in most situations here.
There's assuming that there's communication between their support and their ADC right here as well. I mean, I could be assuming a lot from the context of this description, but there's an assumption that communication is established as well. Like
Let me
we just talked about going for risks and you know shooting for you know maybe taking advantage of a situation that looks unfavorable. I've turned around a situation like that where they're like, we're gonna dive on this support that's really low, and then I ended up picking off 2 kills because they dove and didn't do the tower dive correctly.
Yeah, I think it's important to know your limits, and part of that is going to be a learning process, and a lot of that's doing what Asdrishan said. But I'd say at other points, like especially if you have a hunch that this is just not a good idea to stay, but you're kind of afraid to leave, then you're probably just hesitating and you're not actually acting. Like for instance,
Yes. In which
if
case you're
the
just
enemy
wasting time.
yeah, exactly. Which is like imagine there's a Draven Alistar, like really strong, powerful, like all in bot lane. And then they just engaged on you and you were kind of close to your tower. You like you burned flash heal and you barely survived. Now the wave is coming to your tower and it's like I really want to farm this wave, but like I'm super low and I have no summoners. Like just leave. Just please just
Oh
leave.
yes, absolutely. Like if you're going, I'm talking about like if I'm thinking about going in for an engage while they're under our turret, I'm assuming that like the support and the ADC have summoners and like there's a chance we're just baiting
Yeah,
something.
but even then, like what you talked about before, you're banking on them making mistakes, which isn't really.
Not
Yeah, you said
necessarily.
that's what you were saying.
I said depends on who your ADC
Yeah.
is. If you have somebody like Vayne who can lay down some CC of her own, or Ezreal who can dodge a skill shot and avoid like taking the damage that would have been dealt to him, like in a specific situation, you can turn that scenario highly in your favor. But if you're playing someone like
You can.
like Ashe and you're not level 6 and you're trying to stay to farm, then yeah, that's silly. Like it just depends on who you're playing and what the situation is, but
Yeah.
oftentimes there is a way for you to turn it around.
I wouldn't say like it's more often than not your best chance is just to both go back or leave.
It,
I will say though that like kind of what Haber was mentioning is like you generally want to be in sync with one another. Like if you
True.
both back and come back, you both have items, you both have health, you both have mana, you have a lot more lane presence. Whereas like if you kind of leave at different times, like you could
Yeah.
leave as you mentioned in your email, you could leave your AD carry in a 2v1. They might not get any farm, they might get all in. Like
sure, but if you
it's-
never
it-
learn
it's
how
rough.
to play at a deficit, then exactly, you never learn how to play at a deficit. Like playing in those situations and maybe learning how to get the most from them is just as valuable as staying safe in situations and learning to recognize when to do the make that proper choice is only going to be done if you take those risks.
Right.
But I will say, like, if you're playing like a support in solo queue, like you don't want to like abandon your AD carry unless you're pretty confident.
Exactly.
Like you've told like for instance that you mentioned here when I go back and my lane partner doesn't, I worry about them being an obvious target. They are an
They
obvious
are.
Oh,
target.
They are,
I want them.
absolutely.
If I was
Every
the
time.
ADC, I want them. Like I
The jungler
definitely want them.
Smarties heading down there to dive them.
If
Like-
I'm
Yeah.
playing ADC and I notice that the enemy support like left their AD carry alone, I will like ping like crazy for my support to just like just go ham on this person. We're gonna wreck their
Right.
crap. Like,
Absolutely.
they're gonna
Yeah,
get wrecked.
like
that is the biggest white flag from the ADC if they're staying.
if you are the support in this situation, your AD carry gets poked low. You can either, I think either you go back with your AD carry if there's no other opportunities available, or you go and make use of that time to roam to other lanes to try to help them out.
As
If-
yeah.
But
As- sorry.
in most situations, I'm saying no, don't stay with that turret because the worst thing that happens is that AD carry leaves. You're trying to defend that turret the rest of the time. You get poked low to the point where your AD carry just got back to lane, and now you have to go back. But your AD carry just went back, so they're not going to want to go back now, and you just end up in this cycle of digging yourself into a deeper and deeper hole.
Well, so as that lane, farming is not an option. Like you're making one of two options. Either you engage on these jerks for harassing you and you try and take them on underneath your turret, maybe baiting them into a situation where you get the kills, or you just outright leave. Like there's no prancing around like do we stay, do we not go. Like you either full on engage and make something of it and then back the hell out, or you just back and come to a turret that has half health. Like those are your options.
Yeah, at the end of the day, an outer tier turret isn't worth giving your life up over.
No.
Especially outer like bot turret, like or outer top.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I just
Mid lane, I will die.
Definitely.
And mid,
yes,
mid will not fall.
I'll die
Okay.
4 times before mid falls for sure.
So until we just keep talking about this for the rest of the episode, we'll get a few more goals in here.
For sure.
Brandon, One Life to Live, writes in saying, "Hey guys, you seen? Are there any goals in this one, or is it just questions?"
No, his are actually just questions.
Just questions. So let's hop back to the goals real quick here. I'll read off a couple that were on the Twitter here. So Jake Fire 69 said, "I want to hit at least gold, but I want platinum so bad. I just feel I'm better than I am than that, and I am stuck in silver. You know."
The ELO hell spam.
Yeah, there is no such thing as ELO hell.
Thanks a lot. Comeback.
Definitely,
kid,
just
for writing in. Thank you so much. We love you, and thanks for the support. But fuck you.
Yes.
We love you, man. We love you.
No, we love you. Just you have to, if you want to hit at least gold, you have to play at a gold level. If you want to hit platinum, you have to play at a platinum level. I mean, that's just that's the long and short of it. So
and
I
you have
gotta
to
chime
put
in
the
there and say,
practice.
so
Yeah.
I don't know what comeback kid was last season, or if he's posting because he got placed lower or something. But in general, saying that I feel that I'm better than where I'm at is the absolute wrong mindset to have when trying to get better at this game.
Right.
You should recognize that where you're at where you are for a reason. And yes, there's going to be games where you're like, wow, my teammates like really fucked up in X situation, or like, wow, that was so dumb. Like, I feel like people just make the dumbest mistakes, but none of that matters. All that you should be focusing on is what could I have done better to get better at this game, and then eventually you'll climb.
Right. Like if you did play last season and let's say you were gold before, then all you have to do is play at that same level you were before and you'll get to gold. No questions asked. Yeah. If you weren't gold before and this is like a goal just specific for this season, then prove to yourself, prove to everyone else that you can play at that level, and you will climb to that level.
Absolutely.
Practice.
Yeah.
Yo, I was talking to a buddy like today, literally about it today, and he was like, I just don't get why I'm stuck. And I was like, dude, it's because all you do is just play ranked, and you don't even like specifically practice one specific thing. All you do is just play ranked and assume that with games will come ranking. And like that is not how it works. Like you need to be meticulous in what you're focusing on. If you are even playing ranked, you need to be practicing like you're trying to get better, and you're playing to not only win but to get better at the game, as well as practicing outside of ranked in custom games, normals, and working on all sorts of different things. And that's how you get better at the game.
Speaking of getting better, sorry, Dune, do you have something else to say for this one?
I was just gonna say that, remember, practice doesn't make perfect. Better practice makes perfect. So you have to practice well to get better, not just play.
Yeah, speaking of getting better at the game, Tristan Weeks gave us a tweet asking a little bit about recording. New to the podcast, and you talk about recording games a lot. What system do you use for doing this? I mean, because this is a really good way, I think, for people to go back, and we've mentioned it a lot before, in a lot of different ways to use recordings to improve at the game.
Yeah, a lot of times right in the heat of a game, or like right after a loss, you're going to be thinking about a lot of different things. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be annoyed that your like top laner DC'd, or that like your Moo like missed his ult or something. Like there's going to be a lot of things going on in your head, and you're probably not going to be clearly thinking about all the different things that you did wrong that you could work on. And like being able to go back at a recording is often a good way to actually see, wow, I made this mistake here. I made this mistake here.
Yeah.
If you can do it,
that I can
recommend, do it.
Five that I can think. 6. So there's Plays TV, there's op.gg, there's replay.gg, There's LSI.
Replay.gg hasn't been working lately.
Oh, it hasn't? Okay. There is Skin
Wait,
Spotlight.
what hasn't been working lately?
Replay.gg.
And
yeah,
then
it's been hit or miss lately.
Okay, and then there's just regular OBS recordings that you can make. All of five of those that are still working that really work. I'd recommend using one that uses the spectator system, just so you can look at your own perspective as well as everything else that's going on in the game. And we've talked about that, like in terms of like the jungle, like make predictions with the fog of war on, you know, saying like, okay, I think the jungler or whoever is going to be there, turn it off. Okay, I was wrong. Why was I wrong? Yada, yada, yada. And I know there's the opposite side too of like using OBS and recording exactly what you're doing. So you can say, okay, this is what I'm seeing. Why wasn't I looking over here to see the jungler or whatever come in? And yeah, there's a good side to both. I think overall, the ones that use a spectator side, LSI, Skin Spotlights, op.gg, those ones are just going to give you a lot more information that you can work with.
I would say it depends on what you want to work on. Haber's right that there's advantages to both. I personally prefer things like OBS and lately Plays TV I've been using because I like to see my perspective. I like to see my mouse movements. I like to see how I'm specifically like moving in lane, when I'm pressing tab, things like that. And those types of replays are better for seeing that. But I do think there's a lot of value in what Haber mentioned before about like, you know, checking stats, seeing where the enemy jungler is at different points in time, and a lot of times an actual physical replay is better for that.
Yeah, sometimes it's very useful to see how often you're tabbing, how often you're checking other lanes, whether you're locking your camera or not, how often you're checking wards and checking other vision, things like that. So
Plays TV makes me feel better about myself because I highlights when I get the triple kill as well.
true. All right, and let's keep going here on the goals. Yeah. We got an email from Lycanth. I just started playing ranked last season. About midway through it, I was placed in bronze 3 and quickly fell to bronze 5. Got frustrated and gave up. During last season, I main support and realized a large part of the problem was me. For season 6, I decided to pick up jungle, which leads me to my goals for this season. 1 is continue to learn and become a better jungler, my man. And 2 is make the climb from bronze 4 currently to silver 4. I went 8 and 2 in placements and placed in bronze 5, so doing okay now.
Damn.
8 and 2
Ouch.
placed in bronze 5.
That sucks. That
Buddy.
hurts, man.
Oh.
Yeah, it's fine.
Side question also, do you guys know of anywhere like-minded low elo players like myself can find other players willing to queue together? Thanks again for the work you do. First off, that part is very simple. In-game chat, T-Force.
Right.
Join the chat
MMA.
panel.
Right.
Chat
I
channel.
want to like expand that a little bit too, because
Yeah.
like as much as I love our community that we put together, we're not the biggest one out there, and it's not always the most active. At the end of your games, if you like someone you played with, you know, try to sending them a friend request. There's a lot of active streamers, like the big streamers, Trick2G, Searchez, Night Blue, that have an active community, and they have their own TeamSpeak, their own servers and stuff like that they set up. You can get active with those guys too. A lot of them do have a really good community with a lot of low elo players that want to just play the game for fun, and some for ranked as well. And I think those are...
Yeah, 2 I've been checking out a lot lately who are kind of friends of the network too are Black Anola and Just Okay Gamers. Both of them have Discords that you can join. You know, hop in their Discord, check them out, and find a lot of other players that you can queue up with and play with.
Yeah.
So what I would recommend, like as Stu mentioned, in-game chat channel T-Force, all one word, is great if you're on the NA server. We also have a Discord. You can find it on our subreddit, r/T-Force Network. Any of these places, like Discord, usually having people typing random things, trying to find games. Same thing in the chat channel. So you definitely great ways to find people in our community that want to play games. Some other ones that I haven't tested personally, but I know that there's certain subreddits that are all about like finding people to play like dynamic queue and stuff
Yeah,
like League
those
Connect and
the thing
Reddit
about
teams.
yeah, I like those, but they are often active for like the first week after they like start growing, and then they kind of die down.
Mm.
But I mean, like it's a good throw out there. There's always lots of other people thinking the exact same thing as you do. They just want to find other people to play a league, and as long as you're actively looking for them, I'd say start looking. Those other big streamers that we talked about is a good place to start with communities.
And people you
Absolutely.
play with. I mean, honestly, best way to judge how somebody is gonna play is, I mean, already play a freaking game with them.
Yeah, if you have like that game where you have really good chemistry with someone, like you're a jungler and like you're laning and like you have really good synergy, you rotate around, or like maybe you're playing bot lane together and you're an ADC and a support that randomly get matched, and then you're like, wow, that just felt great, that was awesome. Like you could totally just add them and then say, hey, would you want to play games and stuff? And
Yeah,
worst case scenario, you just don't see them again. It's not really the end of the world.
I completely agree with that. And like for example, Frost has a buddy named Shoe Monster who mains Scion jungle. I love playing with
God.
Shoe Monster. Him and I
Fucking Scion.
Oh man, he's brutal
Fuck you,
with that
Shoe
Scion
Monster.
jungle. But him and I work really well together. I don't know what it is, but we just end up doing really well. We combo our ults well. We end up collapsing at good times together and just working really well. I really understand where he's going with his jungle paths and stuff. So just find people that you really sync with, and sometimes that can be one of the biggest things.
Yeah, that's actually Shoe Monster is my cousin, and we've kind of played so many normal games together that like I just kind of gotten used to like when he does his like level 6 gank timings, especially
Yep.
around like bot lane. So like I'll like if I'm playing like TF for instance, like I'll shove my lane and be like he'll like call out that he's gonna go for the gank bot, and like I'll already be prepping for it, and then we'll do
Yeah.
like 4-man dives. And like you don't always get to that level of communication with people unless you really know them, so like it's helpful to just like find someone that you work well with and be like, oh let's play some more games together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do we have time for another one here?
Yeah. Wow, that was terrible. Yeah.
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 All right. So from Chris.
Michael Puberty-ish and Matthews.
Hey guys, love the show. Less than 3, less than 3, less than 3 equals D equals D equals D. Got 2
Wow.
goals for this season. My first goal is to reach platinum, not just platinum 5 either. I want to reach mid-plat as a support main. I've played for so many seasons, and this is the first season of ranked I've been able to give time to. My normal MMR sits around gold 1 to plat level, and although I'm sure that my solo MMR versus my ranked MMR may differ, I definitely feel like I'm capable of getting through to plat. It's going to be a long grind, but I'm really enjoying the game at the moment, and I feel like my rank stats are constantly improving. I placed in silver 2 in my placements, but I'm already in my promo series to gold, so the MMR grind thus far is going
Nice.
well.
Nice.
Done. Congrats.
I would really like to get to plat level for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, this is the first season of League that I'll be able to play after combating anxiety for over 2 years, and I now feel like I have a very firm grasp on my life and have my anxiety under control. This comes after a huge amount of work in my life, changing behavior patterns, learning breathing exercises, setting out a diet plan, and attending the gym 5 times a week. Mental health comes in many forms, and the first step to tackling these problems starts with your, oh my God, there's another 2 paragraphs. Another
TLDR it.
Okay. Well, I'll just jump to the second goal here. My second goal for the season is I really want to learn to play top lane. I kind of discovered that although I'm capable of support, I have a lot of the game down at a level and role I know very little about other lanes, but I've seen so many other top laners make some incredible TP plays down bot lane. I think learning the top lane would be far enough removed from my current role that I could learn a whole bunch more. But at the same time, I could use a lot of what I know from supporting to make some really nice TV plays for my bot lane. I say that now, but I'm sure it's going to be a real test of patience. It'll be like learning the game all over again. It's fine. I'll just play Poppy top and build Frozen Mallet. Thanks, Optimus, Tom, and Pone.
It's not like learning the game all over again. It's like playing in different position in a sport. You just have to take different concepts that you understand from previous aspects and apply them in a different way. That's honestly it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd say that is definitely true. Like I'm a pretty bad jungler, but I've learned different ways to like camp mid lane, for instance, because of junglers that have just made my life a living hell. And I'm like, all right, next time I play jungle, I'm gonna do that to someone, and then like they hate it when I do it.
Yeah, I want to go back to his first part, his first goal there, to talk about that. Like, I want to say, like, congrats to you, man, on getting your anxiety under control. I know that shit can, totally destroy a lot of things in your life. So, it's great that you've got a plan that's working for you. I think that's still going to be a challenge for you going into rank this year, especially since you're kind of putting something on the line here. So even though you feel like you got it under control, realize that still may be an issue going forward. And I'm not trying to be like a downer here or anything, but I'm just trying to be realistic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad like the 100% grind is going good for you so far, but the challenge is going to be, what happens when it starts to slow down or starts to regress and slip back a little bit. I really want you to keep plugging away on those exercises that you've identified so far that work to control your anxiety, to really ground you and keep pushing you forward.
I love this email, specifically the stuff about your behavioral patterns, your breathing exercises, your diet plan, going and exercising. All these things are so good. Not for anyone, honestly. Like having a routine, having something to, regularly like relieve stress and regularly keep yourself in shape is all fantastic advice for really getting better at League and really just a lot of things in life. So the fact that you're doing all these things is a good sign. Now try and apply that level of routine and practice to your League play, and I think it'll actually help you a lot towards reaching whatever your eventual goals are.
Yes, but don't let ranked League play take away from the good habits that you've already built in your personal life.
Yeah.
Because if you let a video game dictate your life, you're going to rage hard and you're going to have issues. Really focus on yourself first so that you can be a better, gamer, be a better person so that you can be a better gamer and go from there.
Yeah, no, like I'm glad that I said it before, but I don't know you, but I'm really proud of you for, the steps that you've made to control your life so far. And I would hate to see, League, throw all that away. So keep all the stuff that you've done so far in mind going forward.
Mm-hmm.
You come a long way, baby.
All right, so definitely we couldn't get through all of the goals here, but this promotion is still going on. So you can send in your goals to 4wards@trinityforcepodcast.com. What are your goals for 2016? What ranks do you want to achieve? What specific aspects of the game you want to work on? What are your goals in League in 2016? Let us know, and you could be entered in for a chance to win a copy of The Art of Top Lane.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
If you guys are on board here, we're also going to be extending this. We'll be drawing two winners. The first winner will win the Art of Top. Our second winner will then also win Art of Support here, which is going to be coming up the next week, the following week after. Hopefully we can touch on some goals, here and there and finish them up the week after Art of Support here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So do we have a set end time for submissions yet, or?
why don't we say after that, the Saturday when Art of Top goes live. So that will be the 27th, Saturday, the 27th of February.
I like
Okay.
it.
Yeah. So try and get your goals into us by then.
Okay.
That'll be the deadline. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in here. We'll be back next week with the big reveal, the Art of Top with Quas and Pseudonaut. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Adios.